Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you here. We got more Brad Garlinghouse. We've got John Deaton in the news, and we got a $30 XRP we could be staring down the barrel of. We got that and so much more. And what about the idea of this ruling? There may be no other way to get it than to buy it off of the secondary market. And what does that mean for XRP price? Somebody roll that beautiful intro so we can find out.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content right now on the XRP LHQ site, ladies and gentlemen, which is the central hub for the XRP community, the XRP Rich List, the XRP Calculator. Go check it out. What a fun time to do it right now. We know Bitcoin is 30,000 plus right now. We see 1931 and change for Ethereum, 83.6 billion plus for Tether market cap. XRP right now is 74 cents. We are up by 2.98 on the 24-hour. Is it moving for good or what? What are we doing here? But we're up 58.81% on the 7-day, knowing that we had the recent ruling come out with the big Ripple and XRP win, ladies and gentlemen. The market cap right now is 39.2 billion plus for XRP. Let's get into this. It is linked to, and this is where you can get Glint, Ripple, PolySign, SnapLogic, linked to itself. And look at the AI that you guys love so much that you buy before I get a chance to. Appreciate it. Circle did the same thing to me. You know, this happens. Ripple, how much longer till an IPO? I don't know, but I can tell you this. We are going to get a chance to hear from none other than the COO of Link2 tomorrow in a Twitter space at 12 o'clock, I believe it. Yes, 12 p.m. And you're going to hear from Joe Indoso himself from Link2. And this will be about addressing the celebrate the Ripple victory and what may be coming next. How about that IPO? Where's that at? And will it be in the U.S.? And if it isn't, what are the implications? This right here, John Deaton shares digital asset investor tweet here. The original tweet was, one of my guilty pleasures is watching the depressed Bitcoin maxis downplay the significance of XRP being the only digital asset with legal clarity. Reminder, Bitcoin and Ethereum have only ever had what I call personal opinion clarity. And that's absolutely spot on. That's what we talk about here on the channel a lot. John Deaton says, wrong again. Ripple was granted summary judgment on programmatic sales and on exchanges. So there won't be a trial on that issue. The trial was just on whether two executives aided and abetted Ripple related to institutional sales, which I find to be absolutely erroneous and ridiculous.
Okay, let's pivot now.
Out.
So at the same time that this Celsius news is coming in, we also just got a ruling in the SEC Ripple case. What's the significance of this?
Yeah, so in my understanding, this is actually rulings on requests for summary judgment from both sides. So it actually doesn't mean that there won't be full in-court trial litigation of these claims. What was granted, I believe, was the SEC's claim that the Ripple sales directly to investors constituted the sale of securities. That was granted, so that summary judgment did pass. It looks like there was not a summary judgment passed on programmatic sales of Ripple, of their XRP token owned by Ripple through exchanges, because that was not them selling directly from the company to the investor. It was intermediated by exchanges. So they said that did not warrant a summary judgment in favor of the SEC's position.
Now, in the last half hour, we saw Coinbase and MicroStrategy stock shoot up. So how is the industry reading into this, this document that just came out?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like on first read, they're expecting that the secondary sales may be relatively more in the clear. So when a company isn't directly showing their securities via ICO or the way that Ripple corporate has marketed and sold Ripple token, XRP, whatever, to investors in direct sales over the years. Maybe once these things are on exchanges, there's some wiggle room there. And so I think that's why the market is hopeful.
Does this have any sort of impact on the regulatory uncertainty that everyone has been talking about? Obviously, Lummis just yesterday resurfaced her bill that, we've been talking about for a while now. What's the significance of this ruling and where regulation is headed in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is just going to have to get regulated through courts. And so I'd say this kind of supports the thesis that, I guess Gensler and some others have been saying all along that existing securities law is sufficient to handle digital securities, because walks like a duck, talks like a duck, acts like a duck. It's still the same thing, regardless of whether it's on different kinds of rails. And I would say this probably supports that thesis, because you're seeing case law, cases getting settled, cases getting litigated, and you'll see the establishment of precedent that other courts can follow as some of these cases work their way through the system. So it seems like the system is working. It's slow, it's ugly, it's not moving at the speed of crypto, that's for sure. But I think this will let people gain some more clarity over time as more of these cases work their way through.
Specifically on the SEC front, does this, take the wind out of their sails with respect to this regulation by enforcement dynamic that we've seen play out the last few years?
I don't think so at all. I think, as I just sort of intimated, I believe this is actually this is a mark in favor of setting law via court cases and not having to come through with, entirely new regulation or starting a new agency like Coinbase wishes would happen or something like that. So I think you litigate these cases, and apply existing law. And I think the system will kind of just sort it out. That's what I think will happen.
It just drives me crazy how, Corey is sitting here. He looks so deflated and defeated when the reality is what we've got here is a massive win. What Corey doesn't have, that he doesn't want to discuss, is he doesn't have legal clarity for Bitcoin. And how unfortunate that is. Stuart Elderati says here in response to Paul Grewal, don't be misled. The Judge Torres ruled that sometimes XRP is a security and sometimes that it isn't. That's exactly the opposite of what she ruled. XRP itself is never a security. Page 15, XRP is a digital token, is not in and of itself a contract, transaction, or scheme, ladies and gentlemen. How about that one? Boy, I tell you what, that costs about $100 million or so to get that sentence put on page 15. How about that? It's despicable what the SEC does, right? Thank goodness that Ripple has had the money to be able to put up this fight. John Deaton is here to discuss with Charles Payne from Fox Business right here. And I want you to take a listen to this clip. It's remarkable. And how about we give another big celebration to John Deaton, who has been our field general and remains our field general. I will be reaching out to him soon, too, to follow up to see what are the next steps for the class action that he has and get his response. Take a listen.
In the world of crypto over the SEC, after a 3-year court battle, a federal judge ruling that crypto tokens sold to the public are not securities. Joining me now, crypto law founder John Deaton to react. And John, let me just look a little bit here, just share a little bit of what Judge Annalisa Torres of the Southern District of New York sort of issued here. That when Ripple sold XRP to institutional investors in over-the-counter trades with due diligence and investment agreements, it was a quote-unquote investment contract, and so a security offering. When Ripple sold XRP to retail investors on exchange trades anonymously with no disclosure, that it was not an investment contract, so not a securities offering. So it doesn't necessarily feel like there's clarity here, but the world of crypto is treating this as a major victory.
It is a major victory, but first, I had to be here, Charles, in person in studio with you, because you're one of the few that have told this story from the retail investor.
Thank you.
Other channels don't, so I'm here to thank you for that. Monumental victory, and it's good news for Coinbase. Basically, what we fought, the 75,000 XRP holders that challenged the SEC, we were saying, listen, you can't expand investment contracts to people on exchanges where there's a blind bid and ask. How do you rely on the efforts of someone you don't know is selling you the token? And that's what the judge did. She said direct sales by Ripple to hedge funds, they were relying on Ripple, and it was more like an investment contract. But when you go on an exchange and the buyer on the exchange doesn't know who's selling, it's a blind bid-ask situation, how do you rely? And so all she did was apply the law, and we won. Huge victory for crypto. When I was on your show, I wore my XRP shirt. I'm wearing my entire crypto shirt. Right?
You got the whole fit there, my man.
Because it's good news for all of crypto. You know what I mean?
But the story's not over, is it? I mean, we know Gary Gensler, you know, for whatever reason, I feel like he's been talking out of both sides of his mouth from the very beginning of this, and particularly look before he was in this job. He, as a professor, seemed like he had a whole different take on this, you know, looked like he was more embracing of it. I'm not sure if it comes with the job that you have to sort of, I don't know what went wrong, but he has become sort of like Captain Ahab, and crypto in general, but specifically this case feels like Moby Dick.
Absolutely. But just think of this. In 2018 at MIT, he said 75% of the market are commodities. All of a sudden he becomes SEC chair. Elizabeth Warren, his pal, goes on this anti-crypto agenda and campaign, and all of a sudden everything's a security except Bitcoin. And he got called out today.
Is it legally something, a move that the SEC can make now? You know, is there like, it always seems like there's something.
Well, there's always something. Listen,
what are you bracing for?
What I'm bracing for is there's going to be a jury trial with the two executives, but there's going to be appeals. But this is what Gary Gensler is going to do. He's either going to read the tea leaves. You got Larry Fink coming out adopting crypto, and you got this ruling. That's massive news for crypto. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Gensler digs his heels in and we see another enforcement action yet soon.
In the meantime, you just read my mind for my next question in terms of adoption. You know, a lot of folks on the street who 2 years ago said we'd never be involved in this, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get involved. I mean, so the credibility factor has gone up. You can't argue when the largest entities on Wall Street say we want a piece of the action. So it feels like between that, you start to look at supply and demand, where all the cryptos are, you know, off balance sheet from. It feels like crypto, particularly Bitcoin, on the cusp of a major move higher. It just feels that way if you read the tea leaves on the hoarding of crypto, the hoarding of Bitcoin, some of these major announcements, the legal victories, and some of the big players coming in.
Absolutely. 75% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in a year. So those people are holding.
That's what you call diamond hands.
Absolutely. And you and I talked about something, and when I talked about what's going to happen is when the traditional players come in after they crush the market and they get a bigger slice, then all of a sudden we'll see a different sway. And you told me, John, that's been going on for decades, right? And so I think that's what we're seeing. Right. But when the largest asset manager in the world gets on TV and starts talking about Bitcoin and crypto revolution finance, it's changed.
Well,
yes, it has changed, and shout out to John Deaton for highlighting it here. And I tell you something, I want to give you this really quickly because this is Brad Garlinghouse, a very quick clip here, making his rounds after the Ripple victory, and XRP is not a security. Take a quick listen to this, and then we're going to discuss some things.
In some ways, it's ironic. You know, the mission statement of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission is to protect investors. They went after Ripple, suggesting that, you know, all kinds of things, everything we were doing was selling an unregistered security. And the judge really very clearly said, you know, sales through exchanges, not a security. When it's used for compensation, not a security. When it's used for incentives around the overall XRP ecosystem, not a security. So, you know, we have already moved a lot of our activity, and frankly, 95% of our customers are non-US. So a lot of our activity has been outside the U.S. jurisdiction because that's where our customer demand is. But I think that's where the U.S. is losing. And I think what the SEC has been trying to do is to put power and politics over what is really just sound policy and providing clear rules of the road such that entrepreneurs and investors can participate in this amazing new market around crypto and blockchain technologies.
So this is still a legal process playing out. I think people watching, you know, an SEC appeal process, what that looks like. What does it mean for your company in your business in the interim?
Look, as a matter of law, you know, the law of the land right now is that XRP is not a security. And until there is an opportunity for the SEC to file an appeal, which would take years, And frankly, we're very optimistic. If they were to file an appeal, we think that only further solidifies the decision this judge made. Because, look, as a matter of law, as a matter of the facts, and really as a matter of looking back in the history here, for the SEC, really it's overreach to suggest, as the chair has said many times, that basically everything in the crypto space is a security. Well, we now have a judge very clearly saying that is just not true, and very clearly saying XRP is not a security on exchanges and all these different use cases, which I think helps the whole industry for sure. So this is a win for Ripple. It's also a win for the entire crypto industry, and I think that's why you saw the crypto industry react so positively over the last 24 hours.
No doubt about it. And shout out to Brad for that clip here. Look, I want to run over some things because there are a lot of technical analysts, and then I have something else I want to show you. Remember, FedNow launches in 4 days, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep that in mind. Now, I don't expect FedNow to settle with XRP back and forth necessarily, because it's a domestic payment rail, and XRP works in a cross-border, clearing different products, and bridging them. We all know this, right? So when I say FedNow and keep an eye on it, the reason I'm saying that is because domestic liquidity and the domestic payment rails like FedNow are that last mile. It's how you get a large value cross-border or small value cross-border payment to that end customer, albeit a bank or the customer that uses that bank. Right? So, you have to have all the pieces in place, and you have to realize too that there's so many FedNow partners that are also Ripple partners, as well as Ripple being a partner to FedNow as well. So there's obviously a lot of bullish content out here right now as far as technical analysis based on the ruling and possibly other events, maybe like FedNow and how it could contribute to the overall growth of the network. And right here, we see that there was the midterm targets, 85 cents, $1, $5.50, $6.40. And shout out to Egg Rat Crypto. I'm going through these quickly because we have something else to look at here aside from this. So, these are all things we want to pay attention to, keep an eye open for. In the next 7 days, it is a possible window of opportunity. Doesn't mean it'll happen. That we could see a jaw-dropping 777% increase in XRP price. And he shows you this right here, where you could get that kind of a jump right there. See that? 777. So where that would take us exactly, right? Let's see if we can figure that out here. I think it was, 74 cents? So I'll do 74. That would put us at like $5.70 plus cents on price. Then we see, obviously, right here, shout out to Dark Defender as well, who's giving us these targets here. And looking at 89 cents will give us $1.73 and $3.39 in the short term. And $30 plus is now the mid-short term target for Dark Defender. So there is a lot of technical analysis out here, and you can see this chart. I don't want to play too much of it. It might be a copyright issue, but nevertheless, shout out to him. But you can see these targets here, $3.39 and then $13 to $17 and then $22 to $30. Nobody knows exactly when these things would happen or if they will happen. But again, I want you to be aware of what people are seeing here. And then I want to show you this. This is Chad Steingraber, who has been crushing it on everything FedNow and in the space in general, and you should give him a follow. But the thing is here, he says, think about this real hard. And he's sharing a tweet here that says, think of it as a digital arms race where every bank, every IGLP will hoard XRP to increase their balance sheets. The majority of XRP escrowed at Ripple will never see the light of day when they run out of OTC, over-the-counter options. What's next? The public supply. That's essentially how I'm feeling about this ruling that we've gotten, ladies and gentlemen. Is I feel like what we've gotten here is a ruling that says Ripple can't sell directly to institutions or banks anymore. So if they want it and they realize the importance of it, then they're going to have to buy it from the exchanges. And once all the liquidity is drawn up on the exchanges, they will have to buy it from us. I mean, that seems like the plan right now. And you have to wonder if we're going to see this period of confusion until it dawns on the financial institutions and other entities that would find a benefit of having XRP and locking it up. And once it dawns on them, what will happen to the market then? Well, I tell you what, early next week, we're going to sit down with Jimmy Vallée, and we're going to reach out to some other people as well and get their thoughts on the recent ruling and what it could mean for XRP and demand. Until then, not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. Think about it real hard. When there's no other options, they're coming for the public supply, and when that's gone, it's gone forever. I'll catch all of you on the next one.